As the golden age of gaming passed, things were looking dark. Supply drops, poorly developed games that would cast aside the once other community, and micro DLC were taking over the gaming scene. The same Call of Duty multiplayer occasion was getting bland and boring, making every game feel the same. That was until a game by the name of H1Z1 came out with a fresh new formula. That formula is known today as Battle Royale, where you are dropped into the map, must find loot, and survive to be the last one standing. Much like Hunger Games, H1Z1 was the pioneer of this genre, but it quickly lost popularity and was overshadowed by PUBG. PUBG was a huge step for the BR genre, bringing in massive amounts of new players and forming a strong esports community. It looked like nothing could stop PUBG. It was steamrolling all other games underneath it, getting hundreds of thousands of views a day. That was until a company named Epic Games decided to throw their hat into a ring. Minus the Gears of War series, Epic Games was relatively unsuccessful in all of their other games. That was until Epic Games published a free-to-play 100-person battle royale game called Fortnite on July 25th, 2017. This game took the world by surprise, quickly becoming number one on all platforms it was streamed and uploaded to. It took an already fresh idea and put its very unique twist on it, building. Fortnite Battle Royale was a relatively simple game with unique controls. You would float over a map in a bus, much like PUBG, had a zone that would do damage to you, much like PUBG, had 100 players, much like PUBG, and had randomized loot spawns, much like PUBG. But even with all the similarities, this game was almost unrecognizable to PUBG. Fortnite went with a cartoony, childish design, while PUBG went with a very modern design with OG graphics. One of the things that really separated Fortnite from its competitors was the fact that it was completely free. Although it would eventually have micro DLC, we'll get into that later in the video, the cosmetics were not game-changing at all like Call of Duty and Battlefield's DLC. Everything added to the game from a playable standpoint was completely free. The rise of a titan. Fortnite did not take long to become a household name. It was destroying any and every game in sight when it came to numbers. With a recorded 250 million players, its cartoonish design capitalized on something that had not been seen in a mainstream game since Minecraft. Because of its childish design, both children and adults could play, unlike mature games that are quote-unquote exclusive for mature audiences. One of the first big changes that Fortnite did that completely changed the gaming industry was the addition of the Battle Pass. The Battle Pass was a relatively cheap way to get a lot of content. For $10, you could get a pass locked with items. The items range from skins to gliders to pickaxes to something brand new, emotes. And the $10 you spent, you could completely make back via in-game currency if you completely maxed out the Battle Pass. The Battle Pass was a new grind for players with the addition of challenges. You could either complete it by grinding, or if you wished, you could spend money to buy all of the tiers. Another change to the micro DLC in the game was how you purchase in-game visual content. Previously in games, you would have to open crates that would give you randomized content, not guaranteeing you the item that you wanted. In the Fortnite item shop, it had a system of where you'd spend a fixed amount of money for exactly the item you wanted, and none of the content was necessary to play the game or game-changing. To break away from micro DLC, let's focus on the streaming. Even now, Fortnite is consistently one of the most watched games on Twitch. Fortnite is the game where Ninja got the world record of 600,000 in one stream. Ninja was streaming with Drake, the world famous artist Drake. I feel like this was a huge turning point in the gaming community and made outsiders take gaming more serious as a career. Quickly, we began to see news stations, TV shows, movies, talk shows, and cringy dance videos. People not in the gaming world began joining the bandwagon of Fortnite. Professional athletes, actors, and even Logan Paul began to livestream Fortnite. Esports. The esports community grew rapidly during the reign of Fortnite. In my opinion, Fortnite esports were the biggest and most watched esports ever. They even had the largest individual esports reward of $3 million. Esports were something that were frowned upon by the outside for the longest time, but I think, because of Fortnite, they're creeping the way and becoming more mainstream and more accepted. The double-bladed sword. Today, it feels like it's so hard to please people and keep them entertained. The gaming community attention levels have shortened, and they demand constant updates. Fortnite delivered on that, but not all of those updates were good updates. Fortnite probably gave the most consistent and constant stream of updates, from buffs and nerfs, weekly skin changes in the item shop, new weapons and gadgets, and new locations. and amazing, never before seen live events that were fantastic. But at what point does the game go from a simple but intriguing game that it was made to be to the sweat fest of a fever dream that was barely recognizable? The sweats came in around Season 3, in my opinion, which I actually don't mind. I think it's amazing to have a community that's so dedicated to a game that they spend hours a day just to butt rape you with the Eiffel Tower. My problem was how much the game had changed. This may be an unfair complaint, but it's my video, so I'm going to complain about it. When I look at the game today, I don't recognize it. When I log on once a month, I'm confused with all the weird new items and original guns that were removed. This began to be most prominent in Chapter 2, Season 1. When the HUD was changed, the OG map was removed, several weapons were visually changed like the pump shotgun, and the silly graphics look different to me. I feel like I'm playing in a comic book instead of a video game. The fall. Time after time when a new BR game came out, everyone would say, oh, this is going to be a Fortnite killer. But none of them truly succeeded. Apex Legends was one of the closest ones to doing this, and is a great competitor to Fortnite, but couldn't successfully kill it. Call of Duty's first try at a Battle Royale was relatively unsuccessful at killing Fortnite, but its second try from the superior studio did, but not in the way you'd think. Although Fortnite's still getting hundreds of thousands of views a day on Twitch, Warzone successfully snagged several big streamers from Fortnite. The true fall of Fortnite really came for me in Season X. Although before Epic Games had really pissed me off with bad updates or removing good ones, the additions of mechs and the refusal to truly nerf them for the longest time made me so mad. And after the honeymoon effect of the new map and update and Chapter 2 wore off, I found myself just wanting to go back and play the OG Fortnite. You see, although I was the target audience during the first reign of Minecraft, my parents wouldn't let me get any gaming device. And by the time I got my first Xbox, the glory days of Call of Duty were over, or so we thought. Fortnite was the first great game I got to experience. I got it almost a month after it was released. In fact, my teacher at the time told me about it. I remember daydreaming about Fortnite in my 8th grade English class. I remember coming home and hopping on my Xbox with all my friends trying to get a first win. At the time, I only had 2 45-minute sessions a day to play, so I'd always combine them and beg my parents later in the day to let me play for a little bit longer. I was truly addicted. I actually remember my first win. Myself and 3 friends were all in a 1x1 in Fatal Fields. It came down to one other team, and we all hurled our explosives at them. The team was the only one we had seen the whole entire game. But the feeling of seeing that first victory royale pop up on the screen was amazing. The feeling has since gone away. I bonded with some of my best friends over playing Fortnite. My little brother and I would go back and forth sharing the controller, trying to see who could live the longest or get the most kills. We would look up YouTube videos on the best sensitivities and guns. It was a rush to log in every single day and hear that music. Although not as nostalgic or good as Minecraft's sweet melody, it still brings a smile to my face when I hear it and bring back all the memories. I remember when I first found out that Epic Games headquarters was just 30 minutes away from my house in Cary. I remember meeting some of the developers in a coffee shop. But nowadays, when I occasionally do play Fortnite, I usually just play creative with my friends because I just don't find the multiplayer fun anymore. Now, I may say or think that the game is dead, but that's far from it. They are still constantly updating the game. There's even rumors for another World Cup in 2021. For all of you that has watched this video to the end, thank you. If any devs see this video, thank you for making an amazing game. If any of my friends see this, please, go easy on me.